We're going to have a wealth of information today. So, Mary, it's interesting. Mary Block, our guest speaker. Wow. What is really intriguing, she works with a number of top agents in Orange County, not just our office. So the information that she gathers and assists all these different people, very successful people. So I think that's what we're always searching for. What is going to be the secret to our success? Well, I think when she's telling you what the information she's going to be giving you, pay attention to it and just follow these simple guidelines. And I think that's something that's going to make you successful if you do it consistently, right, Mary?
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
So let me introduce Mary Blocklower's title. Mary, thank you for coming today.
Thank you, Richard.
Cannot wait to hear what you have to say, Mary.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Before I get started, I wanted to just introduce you to my sales manager. He is here for job security purposes for me to make sure that I am doing my job. This is Mike Reed. He's with Lawyer's Title. He's our sales manager, oversees all the sales reps in Orange County. All right. So the secret to success.
Can you hold your palm up like this until this light blinks so it locks onto you? There you go. Now it's going to follow you.
Okay, great. So I've got some really dense notes, lots of files. We're going to kind of go through my deck. And at the conclusion of the meeting, we will also email them to you. Hopefully you'll be able to use it kind of as a resource guide. But before I dive into, the big buzz right now, artificial intelligence, AI, and farming and marketing as we talk about it in real estate, I'm going to first kind of start out with a case study for you guys. And it's going to sound a little funny, but first and foremost, we're going to talk about the calendar. The reason why we're going to talk about the calendar is because I am still amazed at the number of clients that I work with. And as Richard said, I work with people from various offices, various years of tenure, whether they do one transaction every 5 years or one transaction every 5 days. So I've got a very wide gamut. And one of the things that just ceases to amaze me is the number one secret, in my opinion, to a successful agent and with a business with longevity is that person, he or she, lives by their calendar. And it sounds silly, right? So whether they started a year ago or they're, one of my clients this weekend, she had 23 open houses. Her and her team had 23 open houses. What does this lady do? She lives by her calendar. And what I mean by that is not just her appointments, but it's really all of the things that she has to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, right? Something as simple as writing thank you cards, something as simple as prospecting, phone calls, door knocking, all of those things. And I'm looking at Shweta because a lot of this stuff that I am going to talk about today, and Maria, is really kind of has to do with accountability that we set for ourselves. But you can't set accountabilities for yourself if it's just, oh, well, it's Tuesday, it's the middle of the month, and we're almost through the first quarter. Maybe I need to get my butt in gear and get on the phone. Let me go door knocking because I have nothing else to do. I mean, it's okay to do it that way. But if you think of this truly as a business, I'd like you guys to all take a calendar, and before you even put it in your phone, create a roadmap for yourself, right? Use a pencil and go for, at the very least, this next quarter, because now we're already going to be in Q2. We're talking about wrapping up the first quarter. So take this and make yourself accountable. I don't care if it's 2 days a week or 3 days a week, but set yourself aside where you're prospecting. And when I say prospecting, some people don't like Tom Ferry. He doesn't like the word prospecting. That's not one of his terms that he uses. Whatever you want to call it, it could be door knocking. It could be calling your sphere of influence. It could be, putting together a mailer. But whatever you're doing, it's something that will be generating business for you. So can I get you guys to commit to grab a calendar And I don't need to see it. I mean, I'd be happy to see it, but it's for yourself. And included in that calendar should also be big personal events, different things that you're going to be attending, whether it be some sort of a trade show. Maybe you're going to be going to the Coldwell Banker Gen Blue, right? So even big events like that, that's what we do. That's what we should be doing as a business person. Now, interwoven in there, things may shift around, but the nice thing about creating a calendar for a monthly, weekly, quarterly basis is if things have to get shifted around because you have a listing appointment, you can still move it around, right? But if you don't have anything in there at all, how are we going to sustain business, guys? So I'm going to go back to my client that had the 23 open houses this week. So she's a top producer. She works with the team. And the one thing about her that it doesn't matter, like her team could have 2 listings or her team could have 30 listings the way they do right now, but she still does the prospecting as if she had 2 or as if she had 0. So that is probably the number one common theme, in my opinion, of a successful top producer. Number 2, the second thing, incorporating into talking about prospecting or farming. I think one of the things that we need to really get our mindset into for this year and going forward is we need to really polish on our communication skills. What I mean by that is when you're dealing with your consumers, whether it's at an open house or, a listing appointment, people are craving good communication and good listening skills. We're so inundated by so much technology that human touch has gone so far out that when you can actually show some of that, you're going to be able to create a pretty quick rapport with them. Another case study that I'll share with you guys. I was with an agent this Friday night as he hosted a open house in his own farm. So he happened to have a listing in his farm, invited all the neighbors for a twilight open house. And what I realized was, for those of you that geographically farm, if you're having open houses and you're not having meaningful conversations with people that walk in, it's a unsuccessful open house. You're not having that open house to actually sell the listing. You should be having that open house, whether it's in your farm or not, to create new meaningful relationships. So what we found was people came in through this open house on Valentine's Day between 5 to 8 p.m. and they were all ready to talk. It tells me that society, like engagement, is becoming popular again, right? For a while there, I think many of us were hiding behind screens and phones and text messages, but he was able to gather some really good information from the community that will now help them ignite the next 3 quarters of farming and marketing. How are we going to do that? So he gathered pain points from the community, different people of different ages. There were some baby boomers in there. There were some young families that needed to move up. So he gathered different information from what people were saying. They were all very engaged. They basically came in and just said, "Whoa, this is what's going on. I want to move, but I can't." So now he's going to take that and basically create market pieces with it. So in my opinion, that's a really, really fruitful open house. It's, the listing's going to sell itself. Someone who came in there is not necessarily buy the property, but what he did was he opened up conversations, asked a ton of questions. And the unique thing about it is I've been working with this gentleman for a while. He's not a great conversationalist, but he's since taken on coaching. So he's becoming a little more engaging. And I got to kind of see him in action after about a year of coaching. And I realized, yeah, people really do want to talk to people. If they're just walking in, grabbing a flyer, and you're not engaging them, they're going to take that energy and basically just walk out after touring the house. But if you're actually asking engaging questions, they're going to start responding and opening up to more questions. Okay, so enough about the calendar, but I will challenge you guys. Again, we have Q2 coming up. So at the very least, for the next 3 months, and perhaps I can engage you to say at least 2 days of some sort of prospecting, right? Not just idly saying like, oh, I have a little time, but actually putting it into your calendar and see how that goes. I can guarantee you, if you do that and operate it as a business, you will actually see a little more results. Okay, now I'm going to kind of go into our slides or deck, I should call it. We're going to be spending a little bit of time today talking about AI, ChatGPT. There's so much out there. Are most of you guys in the room using some sort of AI to a certain extent?
Yes.
A lot of us are, right? There's some amazing things, and we can probably talk about it till we're blue in the face. But for those of you that are not aware, I'm actually a very big fan of a lot of content from Tom Ferry. So much of the stuff that I'm going to share with you today are bits and pieces from some of the training that I've gotten and some of the information that I've gathered from my own research, whether it be through conferences I've attended or all the different information out there. So are we ready for the spring market? The spring market is here, guys. We know that, right? So technically speaking, right now it could be the day when the spring market really kind of explodes. Once you get into about mid-March, it's well underway. Okay, so I thought this chart was actually very interesting. We had this presented to us for the sales reps, but it talks about just the different generations. Most of you know that baby boomers are a big part of our market. But what I found to be very interesting when you look at this graph, you'll actually see that millennials and baby boomers are not that, count by count, the millennials are probably more.
Sorry, go back to it.
No problem.
Try to.
And all of these, you guys will have emailed, so you'll be able to kind of see it with a little more clarity. But the reason why I wanted to share this was, as we're out there researching, studying, putting together conversation pieces and marketing ideas, you really have to kind of keep your biggest client base or who the general public is that are highly probable to do business with you into account, right? Like you have to keep that in mind. If you know that most of the sellers are going to be baby boomers, your conversations, your marketing pieces, how you're prepared to talk to people has to gear towards that group of people. We're working more with buyers in certain areas, and we know that millennials are going to be our big market center. Then we have to kind of gear that too. So I know it's a big task to ask, but my basic point on that is you guys really have to get well-rounded, right? It doesn't matter if you're doing business in Irvine or Temecula. This is just the age population. So I say to you that, baby boomers, most likely going to be our sellers. Millennials, most likely going to be our buyers. You've got to be able to get your mind back and forth into that kind of mindset, right? Because you can't be stuck in one place and converse with someone who has no idea what you're talking about. And when I talk about like listings and sellers, when we look at the baby boomers, there's so many topics out there, guys. So if you're talking to people, let's say that you're going to create, a phone call campaign to your farm or your SOI. What I would say is go through some of your knowledge base, right? Spend a couple minutes, brush up on the skills, and roll out a campaign of phone calls over the next 2 weeks. I'm going to give you 2 ideas right now. So Proposition 19. Most of you have placed calls to me. We've had questions. We've had applications. But Proposition 19, if I were you guys, I would have that memorized and know it inside out. I'm still amazed at the number of people that are very, very undereducated and don't know. They get all the propositions and stuff. And this is like consumers, right? So they get confused between Proposition 19 and 1031 exchange and different codes. So you as a real estate agent, if you are looking for listings and you are looking for conversations to have, I highly encourage you to understand the proposition. I'm happy to have a one-on-one tutorial with you guys on it anytime. The second one, and this one is actually a spoiler alert because I'm going to be doing a video on it this week. I haven't completed the video, but it has to do with what's the big topic in California right now for homeowners, guys?
Insurance.
Homeowners insurance. Did you know that actively claims are being denied because people hold their homeowners insurance in their individual names and titles held in an LLC? Claims are being denied because people have made vesting changes. What that means is Shweta and her husband own a home. 3 years later, they add their daughter to title. The insured is Shweta and her husband. So now the policy is diluted. It's a really unfortunate thing, but it is actually part of what we all sign when we get our insurance policy. So wouldn't it be a great phone call? Go through your entire list of people that you know. You basically shake your phone. And if you've got 100 people in there and 15 of them are homeowners, 50 of them in there, homeowners, what a great phone call. And maybe that's not the first piece of information, but maybe you call because you've never called your past client in the last, however many years. So you just kind of bridge that gap and you just say, hi, Shweta, it's Mary. It's so nice to reconnect with you. Would it be okay if I called you from time to time when there's good information that I'm sharing with my other clients? And then your follow-up call would be information like Proposition 19, or it would be about things happening in the insurance industry. And one thing that I've learned with people is it's not, sometimes people say, oh gosh, that's like so negative. I don't want to deliver that news. Like, I don't want to tell them that. But you know what, guys? We're here to be consultants. You're not here to list their home and sell their home. You're here to be their real estate consultant. So if you're having those types of conversations with them, you're basically inviting yourself into their minds, having all things to do with real estate. And that's kind of a good place to be. That's where you want to be, right? So you start picking out 1 or 2 topics every so often, brush up on it, and have meaningful conversations. And then you follow up with another phone call, right? So of course, when you're having these phone calls, you know what you've talked about. And if you're super organized, going back to the calendar, and you know that in the month of February and March, this is what you're talking about, and you're keeping meticulous notes of who you've talked to, your next follow-up call in 2 to 3 months, you're going to be able to go back to your calendar and say, oh yeah, I talked about Prop 19 with that batch of people. So this time I'm going to talk about this, or I'm going to talk about that. So we're going to keep going back to the calendar because I am trying to emphasize that today with everything that we do. Okay, can we get the next slide? This is actually, you guys will be able to see this a lot better when you open it up in your individual devices, but it is giving some statistics and some ideas on how to prepare a letter to, again, those baby boomers. 6% of homeowners over 60 years old are planning on selling. Can we go to the next slide? And what I love about this one, so these are some great ideas, guys. Came straight from Tom Ferry. This is an actual rendition of a floor plan. So your letter or your postcard would essentially be saying, how much space are you not using in the home? So you'd be sending this out. Let's say that you picked a farm in Mission Viejo that are 2-story homes that are 3,200 square feet and over, for people that have lived there for 40 years and up, 30 years and up. It's not new information. They clearly know some of these people have like bed sheets over their furniture in the rooms that they don't use, right? Next slide. Talking about utility bills. You're living in this big house, you've got a pool, you've got a gardener, you've got, 2 ACs, split level. You're planting seeds and ideas into the baby boomer's mind that potentially all of these things that they've known about, but when they see it all together, potentially it's a good time to make a move. So I put that in because I just thought like, oh, I love the floor plan idea, just kind of putting something out there visually. It's always the same old types of letters that we get, right? Okay, we can go to the next one. Now let's, this is another piece of the marketing kind of on his targeting the baby boomers. Now let's kind of go into talking about marketing and how we in the real estate industry can utilize all of these different AI tools. I would say that for most of my clients, the most common way that they're using different things like ChatGPT or Perplexity is probably for property descriptions. Have any of you used ChatGPT for descriptions? Pretty nice, right? Pretty quick. So I think the first and foremost, especially for those of us that are still kind of delving into it, I would say it's good information in, good information out. Bad information in, bad information out, right? So you've got to get really comfortable in the prompts that you are asking ChatGPT. That's something that I learned probably like 6 months into utilizing some of this. It's not just saying, give me the top agent in the city of Irvine. I'm a title rep. I could ask that question and it'll give me ABC answers. But if I got more intuitive and actually talk to ChatGPT or Perplexity as if I'm talking to my business consultant, having a conversation like, Richard, I'm really looking to expand my business as a title representative. I'd like to go after agents that are between the ages of 40 to 50 years old that do 10 to 12 transactions a year. Provide me a list. That's going to give me a lot more of a concrete, dense answer than something very loosey-goosey, like, what's the most sold flowers on Valentine's Day? Like that, if it's really general, you're going to get a general answer. Reason why I bring that up is even for property descriptions, I find that you can play around with it and see the prompts of what it gives back to you. Some people I know will put in like a neighboring properties and then say, take this and my property has this, this, and this that's different. You do something like that versus you tell ChatGPT, here are the bullet points of the property. This is going to be marketed towards a buyer who is a foreigner between the ages of 40 to 50, and they are most likely cash buyers. You say something like that, it's going to give you a very different description. And the reason why I encourage you to try something like that is now I'm starting to see when I look at the new listing, it's very ChatGPT-ish. It looks like there's one person writing the descriptions for all of Orange County. There's no uniqueness about it. So we need to now start giving commands to create a little bit of uniqueness, or you're just going to get blundered in with everybody else. Something that I think is very, very useful that is very underutilized. Wouldn't you guys say for most of you, whether it's a open house or a phone call from your farm, there are certain questions that come in and time out, and you know the answer to it. But after you hang up, you say, oh, darn, like I wish I said this too. I wish I said that too. You're going to have certain stock questions that you get asked all the time. Those stock questions should be put in through ChatGPT refine the answers to your liking and to your personality, right? And then you create yourself a file, have it all saved. Don't redo the same thing over and over again. Like something that I do sometimes because I'm always on the road. Of course, you need to know the information because you've still got to fact check it. But I will say something like, give me the 5 most important reasons why title insurance is important for a home buyer. Well, I know the reasons, but if I sat there to type everything up, that's really like 15 minutes that it's going to take me, right? But that's a stock question that I get asked all the time. So I have it saved. So if I get a buyer that's a little engineerish, a little neurotic, that is asking the agent, well, why do I need to get my lender title insurance? You know, this is silly, whatever the reason is. Just copy and paste it. I can send it off. So I know that we do a lot of work that is repetitive, but if you guys started saving some of that work, you're going to be able to really save on a lot of time and also just be a lot more consistent and accurate as professionals should be, right? Okay. Next one. Sorry, guys. Oh, another really good one. How many of you have reviews, whether it's on Google or Zillow? A lot of reviews. And for those of you that don't have reviews, make sure that it is part of your platform, that you're starting to collect them through your sphere, your past clients, people that have just even engaged with you, right? You can actually take your reviews and essentially create either A, marketing pieces, or generate ideas that are unique to you. So if I went into Shweta's Zillow page, for example, and she had 45 Zillow reviews, I would copy and paste all of those reviews, throw it into ChatGPT, and have ChatGPT tell me, what are the top 3 qualities that people are saying about me? I don't know, like that's more unique than anything that someone's going to have a conversation with you directly, right? Of course, you're going to need a good number of reviews to be able to do this. But if you did that from time in to time out, let's say you said every quarter you were going to refresh it and you put something like that through ChatGPT, you can have a great testimonial marketing piece around that. You can have a great email tagline around that because that's what your people are saying about you.
So how do you use it in your marketing?
So if people, let's say that ChatGPT says loyalty, trustworthy, hardworking are the 3 key components from your 30 reviews, then those are what you're going to go after to highlight to the general public. Because those are the qualities that the world is telling you you possess and you're already good at, right? So you're highlighting that. I think that we overcomplicate things sometimes and overcomplicate or simplify too much. But the more real that you can get, like these are actual people, all independent of each other, and that's what's determined to be your number one thing, then you write a whole thing about what loyalty means to you. And maybe it's against a case study. Maybe you talk about, oftentimes my clients appreciate working with me because they find me to be loyal. Let me share a story with you. So you're incorporating your great qualities with some sort of a case study. So the case study portion, actually, that was going to be a little later in my talk, but I'll bring it up now. That's something that I think is underutilized in our marketing and in our conversations with people. Believe it or not, most of your consumers gravitate towards stories. Like, of course, you're going to get from time to time the engineer or the neurosurgeon or the CPA as a client, and they may not care about it. But when you start using case studies, whether it's about a terrific experience for a particular buyer or a terrific experience for a particular seller who got $100,000 over asking, and you share that story with them, you're going to actually be able to capture the attention of both sides of the brain. So whether your client's on this side or that side, because they're in their mind, they're determining wow, that's exactly the experience I want too. So they're either gonna think that or, wow, Shweta really knows what she's doing, because you shared kind of the details, right? Let's say it's some experience about like, yeah, I had a buyer, they wrote 4 offers in Woodbridge. We got countered out for all of them, no success. So I went door knocking, knocked on 150 doors the first weekend, and finally met someone who was willing to entertain an offer. Like, you're going through the whole process with this new buyer, right? Or this new seller. And you're sharing a real life story with them. And we think like, oh no, they're not interested, but it's such a great introduction to who you are as a professional. Again, both as a listing agent or a selling agent. So keep that in mind and build stories in your head. And even those case stories, guys, I would say highlight it, put it through ChatGPT, clean it up, refine it, and then save it. You can save it because people could even ask you, well, what would you do in this, and this situation? Maybe I'm a buyer that got referred to you and I'm coming in from New York, but I heard that Irvine's super competitive. I don't have 6 weeks to get into escrow. What are you going to do for me to help me get into escrow in the next few weeks? You might have a case study to be able to share with them. So a lot of these case studies too, guys, I think talking about AI, talking about efficiency, talking about all the technology that we have readily available. I know that some of us are really, really camera shy. Some of us are less camera shy. Nobody likes to do them. Shweta does videos all the time. Maria does videos. I mean, people that even do videos all the time, you don't get up going, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to do a video today. It's never, right? It's never the case. And I joke with her because I see her in the office and her hair is extra pretty that day and her makeup is extra polished. I'm like, oh, it must be video day. But when you start doing these videos, guys, recirculate them and use them over and over again. Don't do it just for the mere purpose of posting something that day. So I urge you, if you haven't already, create for yourself a library, right? Maybe you're talking about homeowners insurance on one of your videos. Maybe you're talking about changes to the RPA. Maybe you're talking about landlord tenant changes, that came into play 2025. You're doing these videos anyways, and you're keeping a catalog of it. When you have people that you are going to meet, or if you have people that are asking you questions, it's super professional to actually have a conversation and say, you know what, I have a video on that. Let me send that over to you. So certain topics, I mean, we're talking about just being a little more business-like and going back to the calendar. Maybe you create yourself a day or 2 days out of the week where it's time blocking an hour, where you're just developing your content, right? And if you're doing that, you're not going to be redoing the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to be a lot more efficient because it's on your calendar. Okay. Oh, I like this. I really like these quotes. Most agents know what's happening. Good agents understand what's happening. And only great agents can explain what's happening. So I think this is talking about the way that I take this. I actually found this to be really profound because I know agents in all these categories. But I think what's most profound about it is, there's so much information, guys, out there, and we try to take in a lot, especially in our industry. You guys are inundated with tools and emails and, just changes from car, all this stuff. We can't take everything into account and know everything all the time, but there's some key components that you guys should be able to understand and to be able to explain. What I mean by that is your buyers or your sellers should not be more educated on explaining a CMA or explaining why the price per square foot on a single level is X many dollars higher than on a 2-story home. There's certain key components as professionals in the industry that you guys have to be able to explain. You have to. And if you don't know how, you've got to invest the time to learn it. I'm still amazed at the way that people just kind of thumb through a listing appointment or a buyer's consult on some really basic key terms and basic, even if it's just steps, right? Like what takes place once you list a property. Those types of things, you shouldn't be fumbling around. Because if you don't know it and your clients know it better than you can't justify your commissions. You can't justify your professionalism. So being able to explain some basic things in our business has got to be, you got to invest that for yourselves, guys. Okay. Okay. I'm not going to spend that much time on this part. The other part of ChatGPT that I think is excellent, that I've seen a few of my clients use, and I really like it. Did you know that you guys can upload your entire listing presentation for those of you that have a listing presentation? And you can ask it to make modifications and changes to it. Of course, you don't have to adopt all of their suggestions, but what I love about that kind of tool, if you will, so I tried this out with one of my clients and she uploaded her listing presentation, which isn't really long. So it's not like CMA dense. This is more about her company and her. So she uploaded it, one that she had created with her designer over the course of several weeks. And she said, I want you to take this listing presentation, but I need this to be modified because I'm going on a listing appointment tomorrow with a neurosurgeon and a stay-at-home wife. They have 4 kids and they are looking to leave inland part of Orange County to go coastal. Create me a modified listing presentation. And it took the meats and bolts of it, knew that I'm going to meet someone who is highly intelligent, high net worth, has kids, stay-at-home wife, like whatever information you have. And it created something that was so different and so visually different. The information wasn't that much different. It wasn't like it made stuff up about me, in the presentation. But imagine being able to do something like that. I mean, essentially, you have like a multi-billion-dollar ad agency, as we used to call them, right? And ad agencies, marketing companies. That's basically at your fingertips.
Do you upload like a PDF?
Yeah. Now, that would have to be the non-free version. Yeah, the paid version.
Yeah.
But if it's something that interests you, I mean, I wouldn't get a paid version with everything. I was talking to Rich about this last week. Like, I've been using ChatGPT for quite a while, and I have the paid version on that. But now I'm really adopting into Perplexity. Have you guys heard of Perplexity?
No.
I love Perplexity. You guys should all download it. Perplexity is from Jeff Bezos. So it is engined or backdropped by Amazon. What I like about it is it's actually very different. So I will put in identical questions to Chat and to Perplexity. I think ChatGPT is easier to use, but Perplexity is a little more refined and sophisticated, in my opinion. The information that they give you, I feel that it needs less editing. So I can put in a concept in there and ask it to teach me or share with me, and it's pretty refined. So the free version of Perplexity is amazing. I would highly, highly recommend that you do that. Okay, let's see. Sorry, guys, I have so many notes. Oh, okay. Going back to I'm gonna just keep using Shweta as my case study. She's such a good student. She's such a good, you are a good student when you work.
When I work.
Well, the beauty about what Shweta does, I think that. Can I get away with that?
Oh, you did.
The beauty about,
There isn't even anything.
well, you are like the perfect prototype that prospecting works, that time blocking works, that farming works, right? You are like, you're this, they should use you as a prototype in Orange County. Because she's a Tom Ferry coaching student. And our ongoing joke is always kind of like, did you prospect today? Because when she prospects, she gets leads, guys.
Mhm.
And then when she gets leads, guess what? She gets a listing. It works. It works.
Only when I work.
Yes, only when you work. It doesn't work when you are,
Don't work, yes.
yeah. Okay, so let's go back to just kind of prospecting and different ways that we can interject some things into your business that are very impactful, that gives you reasons to reach out to people, that makes you sound important, and that you're sharing good information. I don't know if you've ever done this, Shweta, but I think this is genius. I've only seen a few people, not in Orange County, but I've seen people do it from afar. It would look something like this. So Shweta gets a call from someone she's been nurturing for a couple of weeks, and she knows that she's going on a listing appointment on Wednesday at 4:00. She would do a text blast and an email blast to her SOI. And maybe even her farm, because I know she's got good information for people on her farm. And it would say something like this: I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to let you know I'm on my way to meet with a potential seller. From time to time, these opportunities come up. I like to let my friends and family know. Homes like this don't stay on the market very long. It is, if I get the listing, it is a 3-bedroom, single level, roughly 2,000 square feet. If you'd like more information on this property once I secure the listing, please reply back. What does that do for the people that are receiving it?
My God.
It's not just you popping in to say Happy Valentine's Day. It's actually you popping in to say, I was thinking about you. This property is, it's basically like you're advertising an exclusive listing that you don't even have yet, right? Maybe you get the listing, maybe you don't. But what else does that do? It allows you
Let the seller know.
to go into your listing appointment. Why should I choose you, Mary? There's Kathy, there's John, there's Brad. Why am I choosing you? Well, Shweta, to be honest with you, you have a lot of choices. I know that. But what sets me apart is the amount of influence that I have with potential buyers. Did you know that I've already been quietly advertising your home?
Quick question. Rich, is that a violation, by the way?
I won't get into that.
Recorded stuff. There's no tax associated with it.
I don't know if that matters, but I like the thought. Mary. So let's just continue.
That did not come from Richard. That came from Mike
If we
Reed at
follow all
Lawyer's
the
Title.
rules, we would be shut down. So that's okay. I like it. It's great.
Isn't that great?
It really is. It's very powerful.
That actually came from Mackin, from Tom Ferry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard it before, but I've just.
it's a good way, even in your farm, right? It's a good way to have conversations. Along that same line, and I don't think this would be a violation, but along the same lines. So for those of you, whether it's an SOI or your geographical farm, if you are not using some sort of a CRM, you need to use a CRM. And if you are using a CRM, you need to figure out some ways to categorize your people, right? So some key categories, whether they're potential buyers or sellers or both, have kids, all those different things. And you would basically tap into certain groups. Let's say it's in your geographical farm. It's not your listing, but it's a property. Let's just say that your farm doesn't have that much activity, but something just went into escrow. You are just basically letting the general public know. Did you know that 123 Apple Street went into escrow? Now they may say, oh yeah, was that your listing? And you'll have to say, no, it's not. But I like to keep the farm, you guys, my community, informed of what's taking place. Right? So it's basically doing a personalized CMA, if you will, telling them what the current market condition is in a more personalized way. Remember when I started this today, I was telling you, people like conversation now. People like conversation.
Or like just, you can just make a video saying, hey, I was visiting open houses on the weekend and I went to price points of this to this in this neighborhood. And guess what? The agents were mentioning how they had more than 20 people show up in the first 2 hours of the open house. So this shows that the market is picking up. And if you are considering, that would be it.
Yes. Did you guys all hear that? That's so good. That's so good. Going back to conversations, guys. So remember I was sharing with you a case study about the open house that I was at on Friday. Something that I have realized is when you ask people right questions, they tell you more than you ask for, right? But when people start talking, that's when they also start feeling a rapport. It's not just from listening to you. So if you're asking them a certain question and it gives them a platform to share with you their thoughts and ideas, they're going to feel closer to you. So one of the questions that I made it a point because in my head, I already knew what I wanted to accomplish from that open house was I wanted to kind of see, because my agent told me that he's a better conversationalist and that his hope was to have a lot of conversations. So I said, okay, may I engage also? So I engaged. And something that I had picked up on a while back ago, but I'm not a real estate agent, so I don't get to test it out. But since I was there pretending to be his, kind of helper, if you will, the question that I was asking homeowners is, Carlos, you've been in this community long, it sounds like. Can you tell me like 3 things that you love about the community? They go on and on and on. Or it would be something like this. Carlos, I'm going to be here all weekend. And buyers always ask me, what's great about this community? What are your thoughts? So then he shares. And then the second question is, what do you not like about the community? And then they start telling you, right? So if I'm a geographical farmer in Northwood or in, North Park or in West Park, and I'm having these conversations and I'm kind of keeping a mental tally, I'm keeping notes of this after the open house. Okay, so the people that are over 60-ish are all telling me they hate the fact that their home is in such close proximity to an elementary school because there's so much traffic or whatever the details may be. And I'm actually using that as a real life example because that was one of the things that people in this community were saying. So, they were just kind of like older grandparent-ish, but their complaint was that there was too many kids. So that tells me if I were going back to the drawing board and coming up with marketing pieces, I'm going to eat that up and speak to what people are saying.
Great.
Any questions, guys?
And
Okay.
if you have to have like those carts outside the house, and you need to have a snow cone cart because there are too many kids.
Right. Okay. I am going to kind of put out a couple of different tools. And like I said, all of this will be, you guys are going to get not just this PDF deck, but you're going to get some other content. I've included in there how to supercharge your listing presentations and supercharge just kind of going out and getting listings. There's a presentation for that in there. I have one specifically for ChatGPT for real estate industry. But as we talk about all of these different things, remember I was telling you guys, you're inundated, right? With tools and just so many different things. Can you guys, do all of you guys use Canva?
Yes.
Okay, good. Good. Canva, for those of you that are not utilizing Canva, please make Canva your best friend. The free version is absolutely wonderful. I know you guys have access to great design work, but it is such a time saver for any of you that do, like simple little social media posts, right? So Canva is one of the ones that I wanted to share with you. The other one that I want to share with you, MailChimp. Does everybody use MailChimp? I know Shweta does. MailChimp is another one. So I think right now it's at like 2,000 email addresses that you can utilize as an e-blast for free.
No, I don't think it's 2,000 anymore. It used to be. Now it's a paid version for people.
Oh, 2,000
It's
paid?
just like 500 or something, right?
Yeah.
400.
Okay.
But
Well,
it's paid.
So the reason why I talk about Canva and MailChimp is those two big names, you can easily incorporate into ChatGPT and have it come up with a marketing plan for you, right? It can give you, you can basically go in and say, I utilize MailChimp. I have in there 350 people in my database. I would like something to be sent out on a monthly basis, having to do with Orange County real estate. What can you come up with along with a calendar for me? So it will basically spit out for you your marketing agenda utilizing MailChimp. And those two big names, because again, it's highly recognized, but you can do it with all sorts of different things. Okay, let's see here. I think, last bit. As we talked about MailChimp. So statistics are currently showing that as much as we love social media, it's kind of a love-hate relationship, right? We all waste a lot of time on it. We all hope to get more business than we actually are. And the reason why we're not actually getting a lot of the business is because it's like a fun platform. So for even those of you that are utilizing it, your follow-up stinks, right? Your direct messages stink. You're not doing enough output in the sense of connecting with people. And with that said, there is a staggering difference of the return that you get on email marketing versus social media. Social media is more fun, but we're actually seeing a return to very impressive returns on email marketing, where they're customized emails, they are personalized emails. I mean, when I say personalized, maybe Jonathan did not send just me the email, but my email will be addressed. Hey, Mary, happy spring. And then he gives me the information that he wants to share. So emails went to having only about a 10-15% open, but we are now back at having close to a 30% open in our industry, right? And this is not, I'm not talking about just those simple subscriptions. Like, as much as I love keeping current matters, I'm not talking about subscriptions like this where they just generate it and send it out. It's got to have a little bit of a stamp of you. You can still use a service like MailChimp or something to get it sent out for you, but you uniquely know your SOI. You uniquely know your farm in Woodbury. So that email would contain something, at least every other email would contain some sort of personalized information where I'm not going to get, something that I saw 8 other realtors send me. Jonathan's was a little bit different because he talked about Proposition 19 and how it's affecting residents in Orange County. So something to that effect. So if you guys are not doing it right now, I would highly encourage you to incorporate email marketing. What I'm seeing as a big trend is we're really going back to a lot of the things that we did a long time ago, like the phone calls, like the emails, because we kind of got away from that for a few years, but I think we're going back to it, and people are open to it. They are actually more open to it than especially people that know you. It may not be the brand new people, but your SOI guys. Like, I can't emphasize enough how important nurturing your SOI is. We talk about farming, we talk about picking a farm, creating a farm, and throwing hundreds of thousands of dollars into this new marketing space in this neighborhood that I selected. But first and foremost, you guys need to get that phone out and go through everybody that you have in there, download it. You don't have an SOI yet. That's where I'm saying, get your phone out, start there. So whatever your SOI list is, sphere of influence, right? Maybe it's got 50 people, maybe it's got 400 people. Like, I think my phone, I've got something like 2,200 contacts. So if I were a real estate agent and I were to download that, and I deleted and omitted all the duplicates, and let's say I came up with 2,000 records. Studies have shown from people like Tom Ferry and his organization, if you are a just average, not superwoman real estate marketer, but just an average marketer, about 6% of those people, 6% of that phone book should be the number of transactions you accomplish. If you work it and you are actively marketing it, you're talking 8 to 10%. And I have a few clients that have actually tested it out, and it's pretty accurate, guys. And what I mean by working the SOI, you guys need to stop with the barriers of, well, she's not really an SOI because she wanted that big mansion in Kodo. She moved in. She's, they're pregnant with twins. They're not going anywhere. I always hear barriers, like you guys create your own barriers. I'm not talking about her. She had a wonderful experience with you. Maybe she's going to connect you to her mom. Maybe she's going to connect you to her cousin who's moving here from Chicago, right? So if you have people that already know you, already trust you, already respect you, why would you not nurture that relationship? So again, from time to time when I get up here, get in front of a group of agents and we talk about farming and marketing, it always sounds like I'm trying to deter people from geographical farming. I'm not deterring it, but what I'm saying is, if you're not good at farming your SOI, you're probably not going to be good at farming a brand new farm. So get into your SOI, develop and create for yourself the same types of strategies that you would for a brand new farm. Start there. And then call me, and then we will create a farm of 500 strangers that we can go and mail to. All right, guys, thank you for your time.
Anyone have any questions for Mary? There must be questions.
Everyone's spellbound right now.
Huh?
Everyone's
Spellbound, that was amazing. It's just
Thank you.
invaluable information.
Be careful making people too comfortable with you. On Sunday, I was hosting an open house, and a couple in their mid-70s walked in, and they were so comfortable with me that they told me that they got married because she got pregnant in the backseat of his '57 Chevy. So be careful.
Last year, or
No, they're in their 70s. No, this was like years ago.
But it was a
So they got
neighbor.
that comfortable that I'm like,
what
do I do with
that,
this?
huh?
yeah, if you guys want to buy it, call me.
You didn't say it, so how was it?
No, but then you're talking about like people opening up and being comfortable with you, and I mean
But
can't
that's
get more
great.
comfortable than that.
That's great.
He's
Mary.
sold a Chevy and a house.
Excellent presentation, Mary. Does everybody turn their cards in? Yeah. Oh, Maria. And Sarah.
Terry, did you have a card to put in for Brian? Here, let me give you one.
I met your sister.
Shweta, are you using your calendar still?
I have posted a bunch of posters. up
Okay,
there to
all right.
feel I'm gonna
Just
use
curious.
it.
Just curious. I took pictures of it.
Yeah.
to make sure you're following up on that.
Here's one for Carrie.
One for
thank
Carrie,
you.
okay.